Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the inaugural season and round one of the brand new Extreme Motorsport Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, Apex Racing Academy, and Extreme Scoring right here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and joining me in the announce booth is Larry McLeod with Apex Racing TV's Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski manning the controls to kick off this party with not one, but two 30-minute sprint races from the Alan Wilson designed 2.4-mile 16-turn Barber Motorsports Park. Well, we'll go hunting for giant spiders at Barber in just a few minutes, but first I want to bring in Larry, and we're going to give you the lowdown on the LTS, the Lambo Trophy Series. Larry, welcome, and how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Greg. I'm so looking forward to this brand new series. We get to kick it off right here on another Monday night in the Ricmotech series, but it's an all-new series, this Lamborghini Trophy Series. We've got a couple of new entries. We've got a new, essentially, it's all spec. The setups are given out. The drivers don't have to go and worry about developing one. All they have to do is just shut up and drive, as they say, and I'm looking forward to that. Really get to see who the cream of the crop is that rises to the top and is able to take some wins down here in both of our races tonight.
Yeah, that's right, Larry. So the series, as you can pretty much tell from the name, it's going to be based on the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo, the 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10. These are rear-wheel drive cars, and as you mentioned, these are fixed setups. All the drivers are given the same setups, and we are going to a little bit unlike some of the other Ricmotech series that Larry and I are involved in. We're going to have 30-minute sprints each and every week. So, of course, we're starting off here at Barber Motorsports Park. Let's go, and very quickly, let's take a look, Larry, at some of the different tracks that we're going to be racing at every 3 weeks here in the LTS. Of course, we start off at Barber. We're going to go to Watkins Glen. We're going to go to Road America, at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Mossport. These are all tracks that really are going to fit the high-powered Lamborghinis very, very well. We're going to be going to Virginia International Raceway come November, then Sebring, and then we go to pretty much all American tracks, iconic American tracks for this 7-round series, except for the finale, where we head to Italy, where we go to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Dino Ferrari, Imola. And it is going to be a great season, I think, here, Larry, as we really break some new ground here in the Ricmotech Lamborghini Trophy Series. It should be a great, great time. So without further ado, first off, let's give you a quick rundown of the format for tonight. We mentioned the 2 30-minute sprint races. Essentially what we're going to do, we're going to have the racers go out. They're going to have, much as you see in the other Ricmotech series, a 15-minute qualifying session where these drivers are going to be out on track all by themselves. They will have up to 4 laps to set a time and set the grid for race number 1. And once that race is finished, what we're going to then do to set up for race number 2 is we're going to invert the grid for our top 10 drivers. And then they will go out and they will race again for another 30 minutes. And each race is a points carrying race. And obviously, they're going to want to come home with the biggest points haul after 2 races tonight. And each and every outing, each and every round of the LTS is a dual race event. So, Larry, without further ado, why don't we turn things over? This is always one of my favorite things in the different Ricmotech series. It's the track guide presented by Kevin Ford.
Welcome, everyone, to Barber Motorsports Park, located here in beautiful Birmingham, Alabama. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this 2.38-mile road course. Well, this place is like a roller coaster, and it is anything but flat. So strap in and hold on as we begin your track guide here at Barber Motorsports Park and head down towards Turn 1, a very fast entry and a very tricky one. It is a drop-off to the left here, right down into the center of the apex. Very careful not to track out too wide on exit as we set up our entry to Turn 2, ultimately down into Turn 3. We'll get some early rotation, get a good exit off of 3, and head up the hill through Turn 4. This will take us to the hairpin here. Turn 5, heavy brake zone again, downhill once again, trying to get that car to slow down for these corners. Very difficult entries. Out of the hairpin now, up the hill through Turn 6. This will take us down to what's known as the corkscrew. Down through the gears here, we'll set up a good straight entry right in here, down tight to the right to get that exit out of 9. Back up through the gears. We'll head now to turns 10 and 11. This is a little switchback, kind of an S curve here on the backstretch. Easy on the throttle and easy on the curbs. Very easy to get loose coming off of that corner. Down into 12 and 13 now. This is an interesting complex. Down to the left, back up to the right, roll off the brake, come back to throttle over the crest. Down now into 14, and then ultimately set up a wide entry into Turn 15 to get that good launch up into 16, which brings us right back out onto the front straightaway. And that'll take you back down to that crazy Turn 1 entry. There you go. There's your track guide for Barber Motorsports Park. Thank you so much for being with us.
All right, and thanks again to Kevin Ford giving us a rundown of the beautiful 2.4-mile, 16-turn Barber Motorsports Park. And Larry, you know, as we have our drivers now heading out for their 15-minute qualifying session, a couple quick notes, and we'll talk a little bit about racing at Barber in particular. First off, as you watch now, as we have I believe Chris Thorman making his way around the track. You'll notice it should make things very, very easy. You'll also be able to pick out every time I screw up here in the commentary booth.
It's a drinking game. How many times has Greg called the wrong car?
Exactly, because we've got the drivers' names right on the sides of the car. Now, also, much like the Classic Sprint Series, the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, we do have two different classes. We've got the Pro Class and we have the Open Class. You'll be able to tell the two apart. The Pro Class drivers, they will have the black mirrors on their cars and I believe the black windshield banner. And then the Open Class, they will have the red mirrors and they will have the red banner as well. So that's how you check them out and how you differentiate between them when they're on track. And good luck to you all. You'll probably do a better job of it than I do. So,
yeah,
Larry,
well, the other key to that, the reason why we have that, for those that may be kind of new or have seen that in our NX5 series and now kind of wonder why they have that. There's no difference with the cars. They're all running. In fact, we are fixed setups here tonight. Apex Racing Academy bringing us those setups. So everyone's got the same setup car. The difference is those drivers that have been competing for a long time, veterans, and at the top of they're always at the pointy end of the field, they're going to be in the Pro Class. Those that maybe are just getting into the series, getting a feel for this, don't have time to sit at their sim rig for 60 hours a week, they're going to be in the Open Class, and a bit more of a fair fight for those folks that don't put in the same hours as the pros do. So it's kind of interesting to be able to watch that play out. And occasionally, as seasons go on, you'll see folks running in the Open Class and eventually maybe meander their way into the Pro Class too. So we'll get to watch them both progress on this field tonight.
Exactly. All right, so Larry, let's talk a little bit about Barber. This is a track, I was talking about how on the schedule coming up in the LTS, we've got these tracks that should be so amenable to these Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evos like the Glen and Road America and CTMP. But
and then we have Barber.
Yeah, Barber's a bit of an anomaly and interesting place for us to start off the season because it is tight. There are many places where it is, compared or people say that it's almost a one-lane track. Lots of elevation change, and your hands are just constantly moving here, and it's a lot of power in these Huracans that these drivers are going to have to, they're going to have to hold back, I think, a little bit. And it should make for some very interesting racing, though, here.
Well, I would say any of these drivers who think they have a shot to win this inaugural championship tonight might be a round where you just want to survive. You don't want to be dead last in both races and wreck yourself out. You want to come through and get some good, solid points. You don't necessarily have to win this round. Every driver does that. You look at a series with 7-8 events or so. In this case, we got 7. You always look at circle those ones and go, I really want to do well at that. Or maybe your track is going to be Mosport. Maybe your track is going to be Sebring. But maybe your track is not Barber. Or maybe this is your track and this is the one you really wanted to lock in on. But I suspect a lot of drivers look at this track and go, man, with all of this one-lane activities, you say, some crazy elevation changes, this mid-engine car, it's not the most difficult to drive, but still a lot of torque, a lot of horsepower, easily can find yourselves in a compromising position. Tonight might be an opportunity for some of these drivers who think they can win the championship to just kind of salvage some points. I know it's only the inaugural round to be salvaging points, but you got to have a strategy going into your season. And this place, as you said, this is a tough track.
Sure, and as we sit on board right now with Russ Ruddick, who is, I believe, our first and fastest driver out of the box in the Open Class. We're sitting back behind the wheel there, looking through the windshield, and you can just see how much this track goes up, it goes down, it goes on camber, it goes off camber, and you've got that car changing axes seemingly everywhere, and it's really going to make a challenge. When you get your braking done, a lot of blind corners here with blind exits. It really takes a lot of faith to get around here and get around here quickly and well. And I think, as you mentioned, even for very short 30-minute sprint races compared to what we typically see in the different Ricmotech series, it's going to be one of those things where these drivers, I think, are probably going to be very, very white-knuckled by the end of each one of these races.
Yeah, it definitely could be. I think this is going to be interesting, but someone who's really aggressive and has put in the seat time around this track could probably do pretty well tonight. I'm curious to see which of those drivers maybe are the ones to be looking for as we see early here in qualifying. We've already got the top Andre Saunders, Travis Schwenke, some names we've seen in the other Ricmotech series, and these guys are probably the ones with the most experience around this track, but very close by Thorman and Mike Dam, Randall McGrew. those guys, those pro class drivers have been around here a lot, but I wonder if some of them kind of become specialists around this very tight and interesting track, and maybe think that they can make their way through the field. And again, not only make your way through the field or maybe start out front for the first race, but remember, we're going to invert the top 10 for the second race. So that's going to make it interesting that if you win the first race, you're only going to start 10th in the second race. You got to work your way through that field. So I think we've got some interesting challenges for these specialists around Barber Motorsports Park.
Without a doubt, Larry, and I think as big a challenge will be those drivers who perhaps finished a little bit further back at the end of race one to then be able to hold off, and how long they can hold off those faster drivers here at Barber, and if it is as difficult to pass as everybody says it is. Now, you mentioned some of our regulars in the different Ricmotech series, like a Mike Dam, like a Randall McGrew. We have some new drivers here as well this weekend. We've got Igor Masimenko, who is currently running second fastest, I believe, in the open class. Or actually, I guess Igor is actually running in, let's see here. I think he is in the open class. Then we've also got Alexandros Theologos as well. And both of those drivers have only been doing iRacing for about now, Theologos, I believe, has only been doing iRacing for about a year now, and Masimienko only about 6 months. So we'll see how these drivers do out here today.
Yeah, so while we have some new folks, we also have some veterans, and I just want to bring them in real quick. I've got Eric Violet. I'm going to bring him in here quickly. So we've got Eric Violet with us, and Eric, I know you're kind of waiting to get your qualifying lap in. I don't want to hold you up too long, but welcome to the inaugural Lambo Series, and want to get your thoughts on what you're looking forward to most about this series.
Oh, it's going to be tight racing. I think the top guys are in practice yesterday were like split by like a tenth. I think someone laid down. I think Dam laid down a nice lap. Yeah, those are going to be some tough times to beat up there, even with the cool weather. So it's just kind of chilling here. It's already gone down 14 degrees, and that's usually a huge advantage. A few degrees can usually be a couple tenths. So we'll see what we can do here.
Yeah, that's a veteran move to be watching the temperature of the track conditions, kind of wait for your opportunity. So appreciate that bit of insight there. But yeah, looking at this track tonight, I think it's going to be interesting with the inverted second race. How easy or how hard is it going to be to make any movement up in the second race if you happen to be finishing near the front of the first?
It's really tough. I mean, I'm not sure if they're still going to swap top 10 with the size of the field. There's going to be top 5, but it sounds like they're still going to do top 10, which is just going to be insane because at least, I mean, the top 7 at least are going to be really, really tough. There's not much difference, and it's really hard to pass here. It's pretty much just a mistake will get you. That's about it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Well, I don't want to hold you up too long. I know you want to get back up there. The track's getting cool to get some laps in. So good luck, and maybe we'll talk to you a little later tonight.
Hopefully we do.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
Later.
There you go. That was Eric Violet, driver of the number 89 D2D iRacing Lamborghini. And of course, Eric was our season 1 TCR champion in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. So good to see Eric here with us here this evening. And there's as he just mentioned, a little bit of strategy here to see if that Alabama heat drops a little bit. Track was running about 106 degrees when the qualifying session started, with about 86, 87 degree ambient air. Of course, that's all in Fahrenheit. Please don't ask me to make the metric conversion. I just don't have enough fingers and toes. Not a lot of wind here at Barber. Was running around 6 miles per hour when the session started.
Track temp is down to about 100.
Yeah, so starting to come down just a little bit, and that might be what Violet is looking for here, as he looks for an advantage over some of these other drivers, which again are all running the exact same setup provided by the Apex Racing Academy. So we have just about 3 minutes left to go in qualifying right now, and if we take a look at the Pro Class, fastest driver currently is Mike Dam with a fast lap of 122.51. That is 21 hundredths up on Chris Thorman in the number 60 machine. Andre Saunders, Travis Schwenke, third and fourth fastest currently. And I believe Dam and Thorman have 1 lap remaining. Saunders has only turned in a single lap, so he's definitely got a little bit of time there, although I don't think he's got enough time on the clock to put in another 3 laps. Or another
There's
3
something
flying
interesting.
laps.
Is Eric Violet, as we've got him on camera now, just spins coming onto the front straight after all that work to warm the car up. I don't know that he's going to have enough time to get his laps in. That's some pretty heavy damage on there. Hopefully we didn't distract him too much.
That was a hard hit into the wall as he was coming off of his out lap there and trying to set his first flying lap. And yeah, he's going to need to bring that car back into the pits with only 2 minutes remaining. I don't know if he's going to be able to
not going to happen for him on this one. So hopefully we didn't ruin his qualifying chances. Maybe we kind of jinxed him a little bit by bringing him on in here beforehand. But I trust his skills and his experience in this car will at least get him kind of up in the middle of the pack. But some interesting people, you see some names in here like Mike Dam, Chris Thorman, Andre Saunders. We've seen them in the other series. John Allen, he jumped in here late and he's got himself qualified. He's one of those, if he didn't quite have a lot of time in the car to practice with this setup, he might be one who could move along quickly as the race develops and get some more seat time under his belt. He did, if those who watch the Ricmotech series know, in the World Challenge series, where you've got GT3s running, John Allen was in a Lamborghini in a GT3 in that series. So he's certainly not new to the car. So just has to get used to this setup and come out here and make the runs. One more thing is I wanted to mention about the number of laps and folks not taking all their laps. GT3 cars, my experience has been that they have their best laps kind of on their early laps on those tires. You get to later in the session and the tires start to go off. So you might be seeing some of that where drivers would come out and do one lap, maybe go in, get a fresh set of tires and come back out. In this case, looks like they're not going to bother doing it. They've got their lap in.
All right, so as we have now just about 30 seconds remaining in qualifying here, let's quickly run down where we stand. It looks like the majority of our drivers are not on track. As a matter of fact, as I go and fan through here, Larry, I don't think we have any drivers on track currently, but in the open class, Russ Ruddock, fastest driver with a 1:23.92. That is a 300th of a second advantage over Bobby Childs, and then only another 10th or so, actually about 1500ths or so, up on Igor Masimenko, who is your third fastest driver, again, the rookie. Then we've got Alexandros Theologis and Mike Taylor. So great running by the newcomers there. And
we've got our grid.
Yeah, we've got our grid, and as we get ready now for race number 1 of 2, why don't we go and run down the starting order here, Larry?
All right, on the pole from Canada in the Orion Racing team is Mike Dam. On his outside for the D2D E-Racing outfit is Chris Thorman. Row 2 on the inside, the Mohawk Racing entry of Andre Saunders. On the outside of row 2 in the Orion Racing, Travis Schwenke. Row 3 on the inside is going to be Genesis Sim Sports Randall McGrew. On the outside, the late entry, but he's in here, is Astro Autosports John Allen. On row 4, it's going to be an all open class field. We've got Russ Ruddock on the inside and the Flying Tortoise Motorsports entry. And on his outside, we've got the other D2D E-Racing driver, Bobby Childs. Again, both of those guys are running in that open class. Row 5 on the inside, one of our newcomers to the Ricmotech series, Igor Maximento. He's from California. He'll be on the inside of that row 5. On the outside, another one of the newcomers, Alex Theologis in the Maple Syrup Racing entry. Row 6 on the inside, the Frito Sport Racing is going to be Mike Taylor. On the outside of row 6, John Casey from 046 Racing. And finally, wrapping up the field, as we had interviewed him early, is going to be Eric Violette. He's going to be one to watch, see him move through the field. He's from D2D E-Racing.
All right, so there you go. There is our starting field as we wait for our drivers to get gridded up, and it looks like we've got most of them there now. We will have just a single start, and Larry, the way things work here for the start, we do have a start zone, which essentially comes out of that starting zone starts just past the exit of the final corner here at Barber, coming out of turn 16 onto the front straight, and it is basically up to the pole sitter. Once they start to accelerate, the starter or the stewards will give the announcement that the race has started, that there is a green flag and racing is underway. If the driver on the pole does not accelerate by the time they get to the starter stand, the steward is going to announce the start of the race there. So even though iRacing may say that there's a start now, it is still up to that pole sitter. And we've seen in some of the other Ricmotech series where the outside pole sitter has maybe tried to game things just a little bit. We'll see how things things play out in the start.
And this is
here.
where the newcomers to the series that don't have practice in doing these types of rolling starts here in Ricmotech, but they're used to doing perhaps the public racing and iRacing platform, those starts, which essentially is the starter goes when he wants to go, and the field can pass as soon as there's a green light. But here in Ricmotech, they're very key on making sure the drivers understand it's not the green light that you see in front of you. It's based on the stewards saying green, or when they reach that start zone, very clearly defined. So the newcomers have to maybe a little bit of a disadvantage here in this first round, but they're going to get 2 chances at it tonight. So by the end of the night, they'll all be veterans.
Exactly. All right, and as you follow the cars around here on their pace lap, there's one car that does not look like all the others, Larry, and we can see him weaving in and out there with the pink front fenders there. That is John Allen. John, again, a veteran of a number of the different Ricmotech series. He signed up for this series just about 15 minutes before our broadcast time and didn't have the opportunity to get the paint together. But along those lines, wanted to mention, for those of you at home, if you've got iRacing experience and you want to join us here in the Lambo Trophy Series, we are still accepting applications. All you have to do is go to extrememotorsports99.com, click on over to the Lambo Trophy Series, and there'll be a nice big button there to click to submit your applications. As long as you apply by August 22nd, that's Sunday, August 22nd, right before our next round, you can definitely be on track with these drivers here, as we've got the pace car now bringing the field around. Just a few more corners to go here at Barber down in Birmingham, or just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, for the start of our first 30-minute sprint race. We've got on the pole Mike Dam with Chris Thorman side by side, as you see there, and some great views tonight from Jonathan Grabowski and also Dennis Branch. I want to thank them and all the great tech people behind the scenes at Apex Racing TV bringing you the coverage tonight.
All right, as they come around that last corner, here this left-hander onto the front straight. Again, they've got to wait for that start zone. Mike Dam, the leader, holds the field.
And they are in the start zone now, Larry. And we see now jumping to the outside. There's John Allen. And we've got racing underway now as they make their way down into turn number 1. A left hand drops them down a hill almost as quickly. They go up through the carousel section here at Barber through turns 3 and 4. Make their way down that long sweeping downhill, and as you can see, raises right back up again. And as they make their run down to the hairpin, we should see that big giant spider here in just a few moments as they make their way through the hairpin. Well, not from this camera angle here, as they then make their way back around and head towards the corkscrew over at turns 7, 8, and 9. Sitting in the lead right now is Mike Dam with Chris Thorman, then Andre Saunders, Travis Schwenke, John Allen. So no changes up at the front of the field there. Then we've got Randall McGrew, then Bobby Child sitting in the lead right now in the open class, with Russ Ruddock running second, Igor Masiumenko and Alexandros Theologis, as they now make their way heading over towards 15 and 16, and they're going to be coming onto coming through the last section here through the tunnel at turn 13, back up and around another very wide sweeping bend, which brings them through turn 15, and they're going to be setting up for that very last corner. We've got side by side here, as you can see, Theologis trying to make his way around Masiumenko, cannot get it done, and it looks like things are holding station here as the drivers come onto the front straight to complete lap number 1.
So on that opening lap, John Allen was able to make up one position, got around Randall McGrew in those first couple of corners, but now we've got a wreck coming up on the outside there. That looks like
Masiumenko, our rookie, going off. They're coming out of looks like coming out of the first corner, and let's take a look here.
Theologis also just catch a little grass there on the exit of 4, but manages to keep it in line. Let's check this replay on Masiumenko.
As they go down under braking, going down into turn 1. And Masiumenko, he just had the rear end, looks like stepped out on him just a little bit.
And a good job there for Theologis to avoid him, as he was just on that inside there, just a nose ahead, but able to avoid him as he spun across him in front of him. So that's a good job for him, as he's still running good here. Even had that moment just after that, probably still recovering from Masiumenko going in front of him. He hit the grass there coming off of 4, but looks like he's in check now as the leader's out in front.
Yeah, and you can see there Mike Dam taking a very, very wide entry into that corner there, used all of the track and then about 10 feet of the grass as well, but manages to hold on, coming through turns 14 and 15, and he now makes his way onto the front straight to complete lap number 2. He is still your leader. Now, we talked about accumulating points over both race 1 and race 2. If you lead a lap, you get a bonus point. If you start the race on pole, you get a bonus lap. And first place will pick up 35 points, second place 32, 30 for third, and it goes back from there. And again, 2 opportunities to pick up points here tonight as we now see side by side Andre Saunders in the number 72 machine trying to come underneath Chris Thorman. Cannot quite get it done, but it looked like Thorman had definitely lost a lot of momentum coming through that corner.
Yeah, this little battle's a pretty good one. Probably the best battle we have on the track is Saunders tried to make that move inside of Thorman. But that exit there coming out of 5 is actually a pretty good grip as you head up that back straightaway. And Saunders not able to complete the move, Thorman able to hold on to it. And Mike Dam looking in his mirror saying, come on, guys, you keep fighting. I've got a 9/10 gap on you guys. I don't want to give you any draft if I don't have to. And Saunders not going anywhere, just a couple tenths in the rears of Thorman. And then behind them, John Allen is all over Travis Schwenke. We've got a couple of battles happening.
Yeah, and you can see there is John Allen as they came into turn 14. Allen trying to poke underneath Schwenke, running a very different line there as we jump on board right now with Allen. Yeah,
a little wide coming off of 15.
Yeah, Allen's really showing his nose in the mirrors of Travis Schwenke now as they head down into turns 1 and 2 and start to make their way down through the carousel section here. But John Allen taking some very, very different lines and really opening up some of these corners as much as possible, trying to carry as much speed because I think he realizes with some of the shorter straights between these corners, just not a lot of opportunity to basically out-drag a car that is identical to your own.
Well, I remember you had said that John Allen just signed up for the series about 15 minutes before we went on the air, so he's probably still coming to grips with this setup. And again, he's been used to running it in an open setup where he can kind of make and tweak how he wants it. In fact, here he's handed a setup, well, that makes it relatively easy, but you still got to go learn how to drive that setup. And I think that may be part of also what we're seeing with him going a little wide here, a little bit odd lines in other places. He's chucking that car around. Certainly no fear in that car. As you can see, I'm using all the curbs through that 9/10 sequence along that far end straight.
All right, just got word that John Casey, who's currently sitting 5th in the number 78 machine, 5th in the open class, having a little bit of trouble on track. Looks like we're going to jump back over here and we'll take a look as he brought the car off track again. Nobody else out there with him. And there you go as he spins the car around. Looks like that was coming out of, believe that was coming out 10, yeah. Going into the S's there, but he does, manage to keep it off the wall.
From the driver perspective, what I think that is, that's sort of that mid-corner, a little correction, I should say. Those little bleep moments where you kind of get into the corner, you realize you're going a little too quick, and rather than keeping your foot on it, you kind of give a little bit of a lift, and that's lift throttle oversteer, and around it went.
Yeah, and with all the weight in the rear of the cars, those big, heavy V10 motors, you'll let out of the throttle, and I'm sure that is going to loosen things up very, very quickly for these drivers. And as we've already seen now, some of the open class drivers, at least, perhaps with not a lot of time behind the wheel of these cars, having to come to grips with some of the vagaries of their handling as we jump back over to that battle for third right now, both overall and in the pro class with John Allen and Travis Schwenke. And you see there sitting right back behind Randall McGrew starting to make his way as McGrew had lost that spot early on to John Allen on the opening lap. He's still kind of hanging in there as well.
Allen, he's kind of well known as a Miata specialist, whether it's in real life or in sim racing. He's very good at a Miata. He is throwing this Lamborghini around like it's a mid-engine Miata. He's just using every ounce of curb and then some. He's a little bit of the grass on apexes as well as exits. He's just chucking this thing around like it's a Miata, and it's fun to watch because he's in spots. He's clearly faster than Travis Schwenke, but in other places it's costing him. Andre Saunders also
chucking the car around. Goes off tracks. You saw put the car into the gravel trap, and he is going to lose positions now. He now drops back to 5th in the pro class, actually falls back to 7th overall as both Bobby Childs, Randall McGrew, and John Allen all get around So that moves moves Schwenke up to third, John Allen up to fourth now.
Yeah, Saunders was in that battle with Chris Dorman there for a while. So this is unfortunate. That little bit of a mistake really hurts him to bring him back down that order. Takes him out of contention here for this first half of tonight's action to be up on the podium. So he's just got to get some work done here, salvage some positions, and maybe hope to get a little benefit from the inverting grid of the second race. So this will be interesting to see where he ends up starting the second race. But he's just glad he didn't hit anything with all that off that he had.
Yes, yeah. The gravel trap did its job, slowed him down just enough, kept him off the wall. But again, losing a number of positions here. Now again, if he holds station, that'll have him starting fourth for the next race. But I'm sure that's not exactly what he's looking for as far as a points haul. As we jump back to that battle now for not fourth but third between Travis Schwenke and John Allen. And Larry, you were talking about John driving that Lambo very much like a rear-wheel drive Mazda Miata. The one thing that you can see is he's not only chucking it in the corners, but he's using a lot more pavement than Travis Schwenke is. He's trying to open up these corners as much as possible to carry as much momentum. Not something you'd think about in a 500+ horsepower Lamborghini, but he's trying to use as much momentum as possible. He also seems to be, for a lot of these corners, much later on the brakes than Schwenke has.
I was just going to say that, he clearly seems to be a lot more trusting in the race. Like as I mentioned, he runs this GT3 Lambo in our World Challenge Series where it's open setup, but under braking, it's going to behave about the same way. In fact, it should be the same. So he's very confident on the brakes, whether it's coming up into the 13-14 section before the end of the lap, or if it's even going into 1 or into 5. Clearly, he's out braking Travis Schwenke in front of him, which means any opportunity he has to put himself alongside Schwenke, he might have an opportunity to make that pass and make it stick. You watch him come up through this section here towards 14. He's right up on the tail of Schwenke.
Yeah, and we've seen that almost every single lap, coming up through 14 as they rise up the hill and make that final right and then left 15 and 16 onto the front straight. And what ends up happening is he seems to carry a lot more speed through that section of track, and he just ends up coming right up to the rear of Travis Schwenke, and there's really nowhere for him to go at that point, given the camber of the track.
At some point here, he's going to try to make a setup, and he'll try and put himself in a better position entering the straightaway so he can maybe get a chance at the end. But as we flash back here, we've got this battle. This is Russ Ruddock and Eric Violette. By Eric Violette, as we mentioned, we talked to him earlier before the race started, and then we watched him kind of had that spin and contact in qualifying. So he started at the tail of this field. You can see him now. He's up to 7th in the pro class and putting him essentially 8th overall. And that's a pretty substantial move considering where he started this race.
Yeah, so Violette now trying to make his way back into contention, if not contention for a podium, at least to perhaps get a better points haul. But where he is right now, he would be starting on the second row if this race were to end now. Now, speaking of ending soon, we are already 1/3 of the way through this 30-minute sprint race here, and as you mentioned, Eric Violette currently running, I believe, 6th in the. Pardon me, he's running. Let's see. No, he is running.
Should be 7th in pro.
7th in the pro class right now, 8th overall, as he has.
Big off for
Saunders.
John Allen. This is going to be contact.
Oh, and John Allen impacts the wall. And that is going to not only hurt as he goes and tries to recover and get that car back and moving, but, I wonder, Larry, as close as he was off the back of Travis Schwenke at that time, if he had the, just lost a little bit of grip there at the front. Let's take a look at the battle again here as they come onto the straight here and head down into turn 1 as the car just drops away.
He hits that inside curve, which he's been doing, but the car seemed to take an extra step on him. He got all the way to the grass on the outside, and then once it does that, hooks right on back to the inside and catches that wall. Really, unfortunately for us, takes away what was probably the best battle on the track. Now he's going to have to work his way. Doesn't seem to be holding him up too much because he has Eric Violette right on his 6th, and Violette isn't able to quite get by him yet, so that damage, it looks substantial, but for John Allen, it might be manageable.
Yeah, it looks like it would definitely be an aero issue there. It looks like the hood is now gone, and Eric Violette trying to find a way around. This is now the battle for, I believe, the battle for 6th in the pro class. And they've got Andre Saunders quite a bit up the road, running in 5th in the number 72 machine.
I suspect this is going to be, as Violet does the same thing, catches some grass. Same thing he did in qualifying. Catches the outside of the grass coming off of 15, and then hooks
does
to the
damage
inside
to the
wall.
rear of the car, too, as he comes all the way back across, and he's now going to try and get that car back and rolling, but Eric Violet is going to lose ground. He has both Russ Ruddock and Alexandros Theologos, 2 of our open class drivers, get back around him. Let's take a look at a replay here as they come through out of the final corner, out of turn 16 onto the front straight. And like you said, Larry, here he drops a wheel on exit, goes off into the grass, much like he did in qualifying on his out lap.
The contact here wasn't quite as big as it was in qualifying, but it does seem to have hurt him as he backed his way into the right side guardrail there, that Armco. I was just about to say, I think if he's able to get around John Allen and that damage, he probably had a good shot to try and catch up to Andre Saunders, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, as he just put himself right back into the middle of this rest of this field, right amongst the open class drivers, and that's not really how Eric Violet predicted his night was going to go.
No, certainly not. All right, as we go on board right now with our open class leader, that is Bobby Childs in the number 88 machine. Directly behind him, we've got Andre Saunders again. Remember, Saunders had been running 3rd overall and 3rd in the pro class when this race opened. He had that pretty large off, so he's trying to make his way back up through the field. He's currently running 6th place overall, so would be almost dead center of the pack if this race were to end now for that inverted start for race number 2. As we are now just about 15 minutes into our race number 1 here, just about halfway through our first 30-minute sprint.
Yeah, for Bobby Childs so far, this has been a pretty solid night for him. Again, we're only about halfway through this first sprint race, but Bobby, we've talked to him before. He's been on in some of our other races, and he definitely has some of the most fun of anybody in this field, so it's great to see him having some at least early success and getting some camera time for good reasons here early on here at round 1 at Barber Motorsports Park.
And somebody else who seems to be having a very good time just trying to manage the race at this point, that is Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 machine. And as that Orion Racing entry out of Canada, here now with just about a 3-second advantage over Chris Thorman as he comes out of the final corner to complete lap number 11. And Thorman, like I said, about 3 seconds back. Things really starting to stretch out at the front of the field. That 3-second gap from 1st to 2nd, about another 4 seconds back to Travis Schwenke, who now finds
Mike
himself
Dam,
under.
Yeah, as Mike Dam just sets fastest lap of the race here, 15 minutes in. So much for my theory of the tires are in the car is his fastest on the first lap because he's doing it here on the 12th lap. So good run here for Mike Dam, just pulling away from this field.
Yeah, and so Schwenke now without John Allen to pressure him has a bit of an advantage now over McGrew, about 3.5 seconds. There you can see McGrew in the red machine coming out of the corner there, and still quite a ways back. So things really starting to stretch out here throughout the field. I think probably the closest battle that you're going to find as we jump back to Bobby Childs, our leader in the open class. He's got Russ Ruddock a couple cars back behind him, but Ruddock would have to find a way to get around John Allen, I think, to really bring the fight to Bobby Childs in the open class.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, in the onset, this is one of those rounds where if you have an opportunity to salvage points, you take that opportunity. You don't want to find yourself, as we've seen already with Andre Saunders and John Allen, and of course with Eric Violet, those unintentional mistakes, those unforced errors, so to speak, to use a tennis term, really tend to come back and bite you and ruin your chances of salvaging a good night. You look at what Bobby Childs doing right now, leading his class, and of course Mike Dam out in front, just flying along. Chris Thorman, another one, just doesn't seem to be worried about trying to catch Mike Dam. And now that he's got a couple seconds to Schwenke behind him, he might just be content to try and get maximum points here and try to get this podium finish here in this first round.
Now, if you notice there, as we were tracking with Andre Saunders, Saunders had a little bit of an issue coming through the exit of the carousel, had actually dropped a wheel, and it looked like it took him about a corner or so to gather the car back up, but he has done so, did not lose that much ground. as he tries to continue making his way back up through the field, currently with Randall McGrew in that 67 machine, about 3 seconds up on him.
And Saunders is he's turning faster laps. He's about half a second ahead on the last time by. So Saunders definitely, with another 13 minutes to go and a couple of laps, has an opportunity to try and make that move on McGrew. You can see there, he's now within 2 seconds.
And there's McGrew in the red machine, and there, right on the screen, you can kind of see the breakdown here, where Saunders has been a couple tenths faster almost every single lap. But as we saw in that battle between Schwenke and John Allen, getting up to the wing of the car ahead of you is one thing. Trying to find a way around here at Barber is certainly something else. Very, very difficult to find a way around a car. Not a lot of very heavy braking corners, very short straights, and a lot of and again, a lot of elevation and camber changes from corner to corner.
You mentioned about getting under the rear wing of the car in front of you. I think that actually might be one of the key points. Is these cars do lose a little bit of aero when you get up under behind something. Maybe not as bad as an LMP2 car. Certainly not as bad as an open wheel would be, but there is a lot of aero still on these GT3s, just enough that it does change the handling of the car. And one common theme we've seen with both the John Allen off as well as the Eric Violette off, both of them happened when they were very closely following the car in front of them.
Yes.
They might be getting some of that dirty air, changing the way that car handles mid-corner.
Now, apparently, Delara had worked quite a bit with Lamborghini to firm up the aero package for this car. But, again, every one of these cars, they do have a weakness, and, they just have to have a little bit of dirty air coming off that wing and hit the ground effects, just a little bit differently, and it'll definitely cause the front end of the car to wash out. And as we've seen a lot of these drivers do, is once they start to get uncomfortable, they lay out of the throttle a little bit. And with all of the elevation changes here, a lot of times getting out of the throttle is going to lead to that liftoff oversteer that we saw.
Mm-hmm. And some of that could be the setup, and those drivers that got a hold of the setup and spent the maximum time in the practice sessions to get used to how much throttle lift you can get away with and how much you can't, really are going to benefit from that. As we get a good shot there of Schwenke trying to catch Chris Thorman there, not quite chipping away as much as he needs to. You see a couple laps he was ahead there, but Thorman picking that back up the last time by on lap 14. So it's getting close, but not quite close as Travis Schwenke would like it to be here as we come down to the last 10 minutes of round one.
All right, and a little bit of an update as we look through the open class here, and let's take a look. Looks like Igor Maximenko in the number 24 machine. Remember, he had that off, I believe, on lap 2. And here's a big change as Randall McGrew puts the car around. That is going to move Andre Saunders now up into fourth place, or probably into third place, as looks like Bobby Childs gets around as well. And
it looked like I saw John Allen go by as well, so trying to make up some. So you got both Saunders and Allen, a couple of early offs, making up some ground, and Schwenke is off. A whole lot of grass happening here right now.
Yeah, lots of cars having some issues there. So let's try and reset the field here, Larry, as we've got, as you mentioned, under 10 minutes remaining. We still have Mike Dam sitting at the front of the field. He's got about a 6-second advantage now over Thorman as we watch Travis Schwenke lose, and much like a lot of our other drivers in the pro class, losing the frunk.
That one didn't look like he. I lost that the trunk there, the hood. But that one looked like he just caught a whole lot of that curve.
Yeah.
It just sent him wide, lost control of that car. I know from talking to somebody who's driven one of the Lamborghinis for the Spec Series, which is similar to the GT3 car, maybe a little less power. They're very susceptible to bumps in those cars. The slightest bumps really upset these things a lot. So that might be what happened there when he hit that curve. Off it goes.
All right, so again, let's reset the field with Mike Dam and Chris Thorman, with now Andre Saunders after his early off. He's now worked his way back up to third in the number 72 machine. Now he's quite a while back. There's Mr. Saunders. He is about 11 seconds off of our leader, Mike Dam. Bobby Childs now running fourth overall. He is your leader in the open class, with Russ Ruddick running second in the open class, sixth overall, with Alexandros Theologis running in third. Now Igor Maximenko finally left the pit lane. Again, as I was talking a little bit earlier, he had that lap 2 incident. He spent almost 16 minutes in the pits getting that car repaired, but he is back out on track. He is currently running 13th overall. And speaking about being in the pits, Travis Schwenke, who we saw in the number 16 car have that off just a few moments ago, he's in the pits now trying to get repairs done. We'll have to see if those repairs get finished prior to the end of this race, as we have now just about 7 minutes remaining.
So in a lot of races, even sometimes the short sprint races, if you're in a 24-hour endurance race, it's one thing, but you don't usually bother to fix the car. The car's wrecked, you call the tow, and you're done. You wait for the next round. Don't worry about it. But tonight, with this inverting part of the grid, if you can get in, even if you're in there for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you come back out. If you can make up a couple of spots, or if someone else makes a mistake and they're out longer, you might benefit from that grid inversion. So there's some incentive to try and fix the car and to get back out there and try to turn some more laps, because who knows, you might find yourself in that position that flips from the bottom to the top to the second race.
Yeah, and as the great example right now, Travis Schwenke, although he's in the pits, he's got enough laps on Maximenko that we don't have to worry about Maximenko really picking up a position on him. But Schwenke right now is sitting 12th in the order. And so if he can get out and run another, say, 2 laps and somebody else has an off, he may be able to, or 2 other people have offs, he may find himself in that 10th position, starting himself on the pole. So, I mean, it's a decent, it's a good gamble, and there's no reason not to take it at this point.
Yeah, and similarly, with John Allen not pitting and saying, you know what, I'm going to limp this car around because I might be able to salvage some points as well as get the inverted grid for the second race. Same thing with Eric Violette. Maybe he's got some damage, but not worth coming in. Even if you're a little off the pace, you might be able to salvage some spots and make that turn. And for Eric Violette, as we're on board now, he's moving up here. He's trying to catch, that should be Theologus, I think, in front of him.
Yeah, I believe that is the number 77 machine of Theologus. Yep, there it is, right ahead of him.
Not in the same class, but track position. He wants to get around him. And we'll be interested to see. This is obviously our first heat race, our first round that we're announcing here. How does this inverted grid work? We assume it's going to be the full field. They'll take the top X, probably 10, and invert them. So for Violette, this may not be a position, but if he gets by, he might end up behind him again for the second race.
Yeah, I was going to say, he might want to hold station there in 8th and start off on the second row. Frankly, Larry, if he passes Theologus, they're going to end up side by side.
Yeah, because Violet at this point is 7 seconds behind John Allen, the true position he's fighting for points. Right. So, but he has to get through Alex Theologus as well as Russ Ruddock, both in the open class, in order to get to the pro class driver John Allen. So that's some of this strategy now, first time through for the drivers as well as us broadcasters, on how to play this out. How do you maximize your efforts tonight for both races combined?
All right, we are under 5 minutes remaining in Heat 1 and our first race of 2 here tonight from Barber Motorsports Park, just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. I'm Greg Ginsberg along with Larry McLeod. And here we go as we continue to follow Theologus. Theologus is running 3rd in the open class right now. So if he can, he had some issues early on as well, and if he can hold on there, it'll be a great first race for him. Again, Theologus only having run, I believe, for just a few, he just started with iRacing in 2021 February of this year. So good first outing for him.
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes a while to get used to this sim and to get used to how this sim behaves. Not all sims are created equal. And so you jump into a platform like iRacing, it's going to take you some time. So just being 5 months into it, that's a pretty solid performance so far for him.
Yeah, and he's
a little wide there.
I was just going to say, he's learning
Theologus
to use all the curving, but at that time he used maybe just a little bit more, but he manages to recover. And so Eric Violette in the number 89 machine, he does get by, and as they come onto the front straight, and so drop Theologus now back to 8th position again. All things being equal, when we do the inversion, they still end up side by side.
Theologus, I think, may have gotten some kind of course cut, as he looked like he was slow coming out of the front straight, had to give up track position to Randall McGrew as well.
All right, so McGrew, who had an earlier incident as well, McGrew currently running 6th in the pro class. He gets around Theologus as well. Now, luckily for Theologus, even with those offs, and I guess that's the announcer's curse, he still manages to hold on to 3rd position. And at least for the moment, I believe he's got about a 20-plus second advantage over Mike Taylor in the number 66 machine. So Theologus just needs to be able to hold on for just a few minutes longer, as we have just a touch over 2 minutes remaining in this 30-minute sprint.
Yeah, not much time, and this is your opportunity to, if you can make up one spot and get a couple of points, but I don't see a lot of contentious battles right now within class. You see a few spots where drivers are close, but they're not necessarily in class. Some of them might be playing a little conservative, knowing that inversion's coming. So we'll be interested to see. For Travis Schwenke, we talked about him earlier. He was not able to make it back out from the pits, so he is right now sitting back in 12th. That's probably where he's going to start the second race.
Yeah, he's going to start right outside of that inversion, so he is going to start 12th. All things being equal here, because again, I think Maximenko is somewhere around 15 laps down from Schwenke. So not going to be any change there. Looks like Maximenko will most likely start 13th.
As we watch folks like Russ Ruddick making his way back through this field, he still has some ground to gain, though, if he wants to try and catch John Allen. I don't know that 11 seconds is going to happen in the next minute and a half, but he certainly would love to get the points if he could. Bobby Childs, though, we haven't talked enough about him because he has been in the front of this open class field since the green flag. He's looking to maintain that position. And if it's a 10-car flip, he'll find himself currently 4th overall. Could find himself, I guess that'd be 7th when we do the flip for the start of the second race. But for him, being in the lead of the open class, the most important thing, try to maximize open class points here in Heat 1 of Round 1.
All right, so we've got now just about 40 seconds left on the clock. Let's see if we can pick up where our leader, Mike Dam, is in the number 93 machine. And as we suspected, he's all by his lonesome. He's got about a 3.5-second advantage on the rest of the field as he comes down the back straight here, going down into the hairpin over by turn 5. So it looks like we should be on, I believe, the very last lap here, Larry. That we should have time expire prior to
it's going to be really, really close.
Close, yes. As it comes on out now and starts to make his way up through the corks. Actually, I don't think it's going to be all that close,
yeah.
Larry.
Yeah, looks like this is going to be our last lap. I did take note here, John Allen back down there in 6th in the pro class, so he keeps bouncing around. We'll see where he ends up in that inversion. As your Heat 1 leader, Mike Dam, trying to be that winner in round 1.
And he comes onto the front straight, Larry, and our inaugural winner, at least for first race ever in the Lamborghini Trophy Series, Mike Dam, taking the win. Margin of victory over Chris Thorman, 3.8 seconds. Andre Saunders works his way back up through the field. He is going to finish in 3rd as we go, and we take a look at a replay here as John Allen was trying to make his way back through the field. He puts the car around. He did that, I believe. He was running 6th overall. Looks like he is going to fall all the way back to 9th. As he limps that car home. And now we're on board with Bobby Childs. Bobby is our current leader in the open class, and he has only got a few more corners here left to go. And as long as he can hold on, should take his first win in the brand new Lamborghini Trophy Series. And actually, I'm showing that he's already taken the flag. So, Larry, let's go. We'll run things down here real quick. Dam, Thorman, Saunders, your top 3 in the pro class. In the open class, Bobby Childs, Russ Ruddick, and then Alexandros Theologus will finish in 3rd. Our drivers are going to have a couple-minute break as they get ready for the second of 2 sprint races tonight. But first, Larry, let's take a little commercial break. Thank all the great sponsors of our series here tonight. You have been watching Sprint Race 1 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, Apex Racing Academy, and of course, Extreme Scoring here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be back in just a few moments with the race number 2.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts, support from experts that love sim racing, trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
All right, and we are back here at Barber Motorsports Park for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series, Season 1, Round 1, and of course presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, the Apex Racing Academy, and Extreme Scoring. I am Greg Ginsberg, joined as always by Larry McLeod. And Larry, real exciting race there to kick off the inaugural season of the Lambo Trophy Series, and we're not done yet.
We are not. That's just half of tonight's action. Heat 1 done. Now we're going to move on to Heat 2. And some interesting things there in Heat 1 that it came down to some drivers just trying to be over-aggressive and losing a little bit of control, taking themselves out. I think some of those drivers are going to learn from those mistakes, perhaps apply that here in Heat 2. One of those drivers we're on board with now is John Allen. He's actually going to start this race up in second. So, you know, he didn't have the finish that he wanted, but here's an opportunity for redemption. That's what this inverted grid is really all about. It's that redemption. Apply your lessons learned and try to learn from those mistakes and go out and run another 30 minutes, hopefully mistake-free.
There you go. All right, and so we, after the end of race 1, we give all of our drivers about 5 minutes of additional practice to set things up and get their cars ready for race number 2. To remind everybody, coming out of our first sprint race of the evening in the Pro Class, taking the win, Mike Dam, Chris Thorman finishing second, Andre Saunders finishing in third, and over in the Open Class, Chris Childs took the win, Russ Ruddick and Alex Theologis in his inaugural running with any of our Ricmotech series. He finishes in third, and so we have just about a minute and 20 seconds remaining here as the drivers are trying to try to maybe correct some mistakes that they made in race 1, as you said, and really get their heads into it for race number 2. As again, what we're going to do is we're going to invert the field. Top 10 drivers get inverted from 11th back. They're going to stay exactly where they finished up, and then we're going to have another 30-minute sprint to the checkered flag here at Barber.
So one of those drivers not benefiting from that inversion is going to be Travis Schwenke. We saw him with his struggles there in that round in the first heat. He is going to be starting this race. I believe it's back in 12th. Yeah, in fact, he had a bit of a data issue as well. Sometimes the sim world, it does shine a bit of an ugly face on sometimes, and too bad his connection had lost, but he has reconnected. So we're hoping to see Travis Schwenke here in the heat number 2 for tonight. Even though he's back in 12th, you never know. That first race, some of the drivers who had started low and moved their way up, Eric Violette started 14th, ended up 6th overall. So it is possible to make some moves, make up some ground, and Travis Schwenke's got some work ahead of him to do just that.
Yeah, and so some of these drivers that had some issues, and and Eric Violette, especially after having I believe there's the Violette machine, the number 89 D2D iRacing machine, after he had some issues both in qualifying and then in the race as well. As you mentioned, it's going to work out well for him on the restart here. John Allen And, talk about stroke of luck on that very last lap where John Allen spun the car out and lost, I believe, 3 positions. He's going to start on the front row today for race number 2. So it couldn't have been, I'm sure he didn't want to lose the points for race 1, but Larry, if it's going to happen.
But, we saw him go off twice in that first 30-minute race. He's now got to, he's one of those, got to apply those lessons learned and not make those mistakes again. So opportunity is there. Can he seize that opportunity as we get gridded up for the second race, Heat 2 of round 1? And looking at our grid, it's going to be, as these things will happen, it's going to be one of our open class drivers on the pole, Mike Taylor in the Frito Sport Racing on pole, lined up against, as we just talked about him, John Allen in the Astro Autosports entry. On the second row, he finished 3rd in the open class in the first round. Alex Theologus in the Maple Syrup Racing entry. He'll be alongside Randall McGrew in the Genesis SimSport Racing. On the third row, Eric Violette. We've been talking about him on the move. Made one mistake in that first race, but still got himself back up into the field. He'll start on the inside of row 3. He'll be alongside Russ Ruddick on his outside from that Flying Tortoise Motorsport entry. Row 4 is going to be Bobby Childs in D2D Racing. He's our first heat race winner there in the open class. He'll be lined up alongside Andre Saunders, who was moving his way back up after an early mistake and early off. So we'll see if he can make those kind of moves here in round 2. In row 5, Chris Thorman will be on the inside from D2D Racing. On the outside, Mike Dam, your overall winner of round 1, now starting 10th here from Orion Racing in heat number 2. On row 6 on the inside, John Casey in the 046 Racing entry. On the outside, we talked about him already. He's got some work in front of him. That's going to be Travis Schwenke. And then finally on the last row, Igor Maximenko out of California. He's also got some work to do here in heat number 2 as Kevin Ford and Cobb Marshall are not entered.
Yeah, so we've got the pace car underway here as the field makes their way around. And Larry, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's going to be, again, we've seen our open class drivers run very well, and they've finished in many cases, mid-pack, and but we're going to see a lot of them up towards the front of the field on this restart. As you mentioned, Mike Taylor, your pole sitter, Theologus, will be starting in 3rd. Russ Ruddick, who was our winner in race 1, is going to be starting in 6th position. But it's going to be one of those things here as we watch some of those drivers coming back from a little bit further in the pack, from 10th, 9th, 8th, and try to make their way forward. Whether or not these drivers that now find themselves sitting at the front of the field, whether or not they get intimidated by possibly faster traffic behind them, and whether or not they can just run their race. So that is definitely something that we're going to have to look for. It has the possibility of really ruining some people's races very early here tonight.
Well, if you're Mike Taylor, if you probably didn't expect to start a race on this front row and be that pole sitter, but now he controls the field, and he's going to have to do this for the first time. And again, hopefully he's read his start procedures. He knows what to do as that pole sitter. But we talked about John Allen with that opportunity here, starting on this front row. Will Mike Taylor put up a fight for John Allen, and will John Allen be aggressive? Because we're about one corner away from finding out as we start heat number 2 for round 1.
Yeah, and as John Allen, as they come onto the front straight here, Mike Taylor, your pole sitter, and it looks like Mike Taylor gets underway almost immediately. So things are underway now as they make their way down the fairly long front straight here at Barber. And Taylor, he is holding strong as he goes side by side with John Allen.
Theologus spins behind him.
Yeah, so Theologus, who finished 3rd in race number 1, he's now going to fall all the way to the back of the field, succumbing to the pressure. But now it looks like also, I believe Taylor might have had some issues coming out of turn number 1. Let's take a look. Yeah, there is Taylor. Maybe we can go back and see a replay of what happened there here in just a few moments. But John Allen, he is now your leader. Randall McGrew moves up into 2nd. Russ Ruddick, who took the win, or probably finished 2nd in the open class, he is now sitting 3rd overall, with Eric Violet now sitting in 4th. So now let's go take a look at that replay as John Allen and Taylor go side by side. And looks like Taylor, he just ran wide into the grass.
I suspect Taylor probably hadn't done a lot of practice laps on that wide outside line, side by side with traffic there. And the experienced veteran John Allen, knowing what line to be on that inside, takes full advantage of it here at the starting opening lap here in heat number 2. But for Taylor, he's not out of it, right? Not a lot of contact there. The car should still be clean. He's now just got to go put his head down, turn some laps, and see how this turns out as we watch Chris Thorman and Andre Saunders still tight here as we wind up the first lap of this second race.
All right, as they head down on the back straight, Mike Taylor, our former pole sitter, he falls now back into 13th position. He is sitting now 5th in the open class, or I guess 6th in the open class, back behind Theologist here as we're on board with our race 1 winner, Mike Dam. Dam currently sitting 8th overall. He's already made up 2 positions, having started in 10th, sitting right back behind Bobby Childs, who is our open class winner from race number 1. So the
our
two
winners
now, nose to tail, and I'm sure going to try and work their way through the field together. Now, Larry, I think the big difference that we're seeing right now, we saw in race 1 where John Allen was tucked underneath the wing of Travis Schwenke for so many laps, and he just, wasn't able to keep the nose of the car underneath him here. But now John Allen, he's kind of in that same position as Mike Dam was at the start of race 1. He's got a little bit of breathing room over Randall McGrew. He's got about a little bit over a second there on the red number 67 machine. And if you can keep his head down, might have a good run here as we are now taking a look at Andre Saunders and Eric Violet. I think
that's
Violet,
the battle there. I think Saunders is getting impatient behind Violet. Violet's picking his spot to try and maybe make a move on the open class Russ Ruddock. But I don't think Saunders wants to wait as there goes the move for Violet. Saunders is going to try and follow him through past Russ Ruddock. They're going to go side by side down into 1. Ruddock holding form. Saunders having to be a little patient. That does not look like what he wants to do. Saunders wants to be the man on the move right now, and he's going to want to try and get around Russ Ruddock as fast as he can. As Violet was able to go by, Saunders wants to be next. There he goes on the inside as they head down into 5.
Yeah, you can see how much more speed both Violet and Saunders had coming out of those rather tight corners.
Contact behind for Ruddock.
Ruddock goes around, and I believe that was Thorman in the one of the 2 orange cars going around as well. So drop Ruddock back as he's trying to get that car back underway. He's now sitting back in 12th position. He's going to rejoin just ahead of Mike Taylor. Thorman, who we're on board with right now in, I believe,
the
first of the 2 again. Orange. Yeah, the Saunders goes off. He's maybe got a damaged car there.
So Saunders had just gotten by that pack there with Russ Ruddock. He looked like he'd be in the clear. Let's take a replay of this as this whole pack goes in 2 by 2 here into turn 5. And there you've got Ruddock and Thorman, just a little touch on the inside of Ruddock.
Such a small touch there. And then right behind we had Saunders, and I'm wondering if Saunders got tapped in the rear at the tail end just as that replay ended.
I think it's just ahead of that because he had just gotten by those guys. As we watch the replay now, Saunders coming up down here into these S's, and he just takes himself out. You can see he
almost straight lines, and actually, that was that was almost the line that Saunders had taken in race 1. And headed to the gravel trap, but just carried a little bit more speed and impacted the wall there. So that is definitely an issue. But what that does also is that now moves Mike Dam as we're on board and taking a look at Thorman, Childs, and Dam. That now moves Mike Dam up to 6th place overall. He's still running 5th in the pro class, but he's slowly inching his way forward.
And he's not far behind Chris Thorman for class position. He's 2 spots back. He's got to get around Bobby Childs. Bobby Childs holding form pretty well here in his position. But what I'm really going to be watching for is Eric Violet on the move up there, just a couple seconds behind McGrew. We'll see if he can make up some ground and maybe make a push to John Allen as this race progresses. But we've got a couple of battles going on right now. In class or not in class, doesn't really matter. You got Mike Dam right behind him. Travis Schwenke, who we talked about, started this race back in 12. Schwenke's already up to it looks like about 7th overall in this field, 6th in class. He's only a little bit behind Mike Dam. So,
there we go. Bobby Childs running a little wide, coming out of the final corner, coming out of turn 16. That is going to allow Mike Dam to get by. And so
Schwenke and Childs come together in turn 1. Schwenke tried to make the move on the slowing Childs, unable to make it stick. There was contact. Kind of looked like one of those races as he then goes wide again in 2, touching the grass on the outside, now trying to stay out of the way. the other car tucks inside, but for Schwenke, kind of all going wrong. We were just bragging about how he had recovered from that bad position at the start. This is going to bring him back down a little further, as we've got a race control report of 60 and 95. That was the incident there. I believe that was the one involving...
that was with Thorman and Ruddick.
So here's Childs coming down onto the front straight as we watch this replay. He goes wide in the grass.
One car gets by, and then you can see Schwenke coming up.
Thinking he's got room.
And that was a real late move. Very, very late there. Trying to come underneath Bobby Childs. I don't think Childs really knew. I mean, Childs probably could have anticipated that he was going to try and make the move, but he was so far back at that point. Just got just the slightest of taps from the rear corner, set them both around.
So now this puts Schwenke with Russ Ruddick, as these two have each had their issues early on. Now they're just nose to tail. So this is going to be for position between these guys. No, this is not Ruddick running in the open and Schwenke running in pro. But Schwenke would like to make some moves through this field anyways. He's got Ruddick in front of him, and then Bobby Childs just a couple seconds there in front of Ruddick.
And in a sweet change of events here, Larry, if I'm reading our timing and scoring system correctly, I believe Igor Maximenko has moved into the lead in the open class, with John Casey running in second. Of course, Casey had started off on the pole, had fallen back a number of positions. Then we got Bobby Childs and Russ Ruddick as well. So lots of changes there.
Yeah, just so our viewer knows, Igor Maximenko is not marked as an open class driver for the ticker you see on the screen. So that's why we're letting you know that Casey actually is running second, even though right there it shows him in first. Igor Maximenko actually leading in that open class right now. So we'll keep you updated in case that changes and it doesn't show up there on that ticker board.
All right, as we jump back on board with the number 93 machine of Mike Dam, that's the Orion Racing entry, our winner from race number 1, and Dam now sitting right back behind Chris Thorman in the number 60, the orange number 60 entry, and you can see things starting to tighten up there with Violet. That is the battle for third right now. Overall, Violet running in third in the number 89 D2D E-Racing machine, then Thorman in the number 60 D2D E-Racing entry, and then Mike Dam in that Orion Racing number 93 machine right behind him.
Mike Dam, won the first heat race. He wants to try and make this up and get around Thorman and have a shot at Violet there in front of him, but he's got some work to do as we flash back to this battle between Casey and I believe that's Ruddick right behind him, as Casey goes around and Ruddick is able to tuck inside. No contact between them, but Casey's going to lose track position. That turn 1, that dip, that elevation change in 1 is proving to be very challenging for these drivers.
Yeah, you really need to, and we've seen that the drivers have had a little bit more luck actually off the apex and taking a wide set into that corner. But I think what's happening is, they may be letting out of the throttle just slightly as they come down there, or maybe not getting back onto the throttle enough after their braking moment there, and the rear ends are just starting to walk around. They're having a little bit of issue there coming through the corner as we jump back now to the battle between Thorman and Dam, nose to tail, just a few car lengths off back of Violet.
Yeah, look at Dam. He's sticking his nose in because he's also looking through that car of Thorman. He's seeing Eric Violet up there, does not want to let him go. So Mike Dam getting very, very antsy on the back of Chris Thorman, trying to get by as we approach the 10-minute mark of this 30-minute sprint race.
Yeah, and you can see now things starting to tighten up here. That battle for third, not all that far off of Randall McGrew's number 67 machine. Either the Genesis SimSport entry's got a little bit of breathing room right now as that 3-car battle for third continues on, but it may come to him sooner rather than later, as we're now just about a third of the way into this 30-minute sprint race number 2 here from Barber Motorsports Park in the brand new Lambo Trophy Series.
Thorman is staying very close to Eric Violet in front, but I do suspect that Mike Dam might be the quickest of these three, and he wants to get by one so he can pick on the other one. But it's right now Thorman not making it easy for him, kind of holding Dam behind, trying to put the pressure on Eric Violet. I'm also just kind of keeping an eye on the Igor Maximenko and Bobby Childs battle there in the open class. That Childs is gaining ground. He's a little over a second back, I believe, from Maximenko.
Yeah, now Maximenko had lost, didn't lose the car, but he had spun 1 lap prior. And so Bobby Childs made up a lot of ground. Childs, of course, was our winner from race number 1.
Oh no, Mike Dam.
Track. Mike Dam in the 93 machine. He goes off, and he is going to lose a lot of ground now to Thorman and Violet. Let's take a look at the replay and see exactly what happens here. Yeah, he tried to come underneath Thorman, and wow. Yeah, he
never recovered. You know what that is? That's that long turn 14. It's a decreasing radius corner, kind of bends around, changes elevation midway, and you saw there he kind of touched the curve. The car started to slide a little bit, and as the elevation pressed, I bet he just never quite caught it. Even though it looked like it was still sliding all the way, and eventually just about spun towards pit in, but no damage. He's able to continue, but he lost about 4 or 5 seconds to Chris Thorman.
Yeah, I mean, and it was amazing to watch that, the many different corrections that he put into that car to try and get it straightened out. And it looked like he had it a couple different times, but every time he did, you know, again, the profile of the track changed, and the car started its oscillations once again. And Mike Dam, after having worked so hard to move his way up from 10th up into to a battle for 3rd, he now is going to have to start that all over again. But he's got almost 2/3 of this race remaining. We'll see how fast he runs. He did have the fastest lap of the race in race number 1, and he may be able to make up a little bit of ground, as I'm sure now Thorman is probably going to find it a little bit easier now to take the battle to Violet, now that he doesn't have to worry about Mike Dam sitting on a 6.
Oh, sure, yeah. It's always easier to do that, to be able to put pressure on when you're not worried about behind it. You were just talking about Mike Dam maybe making up ground, as he was the fastest car in the field in that first race, just set fastest lap of the race at a 1:22.5, which took about 7/10 away from Thorman and Violet in front of him. So it's not over yet for Mike Dam. He certainly has the pace to catch up. Thorman, though, would love to get around Violet, but now the two of them together actually are catching Randall McGrew.
Yes,
so maybe for Thorman, you stay here behind Violet, you let Violet do the work to catch up to McGrew, and maybe if you're Thorman, you're thinking, I'm going to get both of them here before this race is over.
Yeah, and and if they did that, they'd probably stand a little bit better chance of they'd have a couple more laps, I think, before Mike Dam shows his nose once again, if they can make their way up to McGrew instead of starting the battle right now. As you can see off in the distance, not very far off in the distance, Mike Dam, he's definitely coming.
If we get a chance, I'd love to take a look at the Maximenko and Bobby Childs battle, as it looks like Childs might be right on the tail of Maximenko now. It was 2 seconds earlier. Now it's down to about 6/10 as Violet. Big slide through that corner. But here's Childs trying to catch Maximenko. You can see him now as they come up down through this little S section. Childs a lot faster through this section, catching Maximenko as they come up to the end of the lap. You can see him now just a 10th or 2 behind Maximenko. Wide entry, trying to get a good line off of 14 down into 15, and maybe have a shot down into turn 1. As briefly there, Mike Dam flashed up another new fastest lap of the race. So we'll get back to Mike Dam in a minute. I really want to see Childs here. Can he make the move on Maximenko through this turn 1, turn 2 complex around this big on-camber sweeper?
Yeah, and remember when we saw at the start of round 1 where Maximenko, again, he doesn't have a lot of iRacing experience underneath his belt. Maybe the nerves had gotten to him, but he seems to be dealing with the pressure perhaps a little bit better right now. You can see a nice little defensive line there as they drop down into the hairpin. And he's managing to hold his own over our race 1 winner, Bobby Childs.
Bobby's going to start getting patient, but he knows he's only halfway through. We literally just got by the 15-minute mark there, so there's a lot of time left in this race if you're Bobby Childs to now play patient and sit behind Maximenko and hope maybe another mistake and see if he can get Maximenko to spend more time looking in his mirrors than he does out the windshield in front. As we flash back over here, McGrew running second, now with Eric Violet and Chris Thorman just about a second or so behind him.
Yeah, and look where Mike Dam is. Only about back. 4 car lengths back. Yeah, exactly. Firmly in the draft, and once again,
we're going to have a 4-car battle here for second place in about 1 more lap. As it looks like Thorman once passed Violet in a bad way, but knows that it's not going to do him any good because it's just going to separate themselves from McGrew.
Exactly. Yeah, you've got the 3 different goals there. One is to get around Violet. One is to not lose ground.
We may have a move coming now, though.
And then the other is to not let Mike Dam back into the game here. And I'm sure, as we can already see, that third one isn't.
Yeah. Letting Mike Dam back in is not a matter of if, but when. As Mike Dam is now underneath the rear tail end of Chris Thorman. Mike Dam looks like he's going to try and make, right back where he was about 3 laps ago, try and make some ground here on Thorman, as Thorman was trying to get aggressive with Violet, did not pay off, and all of a sudden was put him out of position, now trying to hold off everything he can do to keep Mike Dam behind him. And I think with another 13 minutes to go, that's a tall order with Mike Dam's pace.
All right, as they come now through turn 16 onto the front straight, and you can certainly see pretty much everywhere that Mike Dam is faster than the 2 cars ahead of him. But again, not a lot that he can do with it unless he's willing to more or less push the car right underneath, right underneath Thorman going into some of these corners, in which case, that might give a bit of an advantage to Violet. But you also notice now that Mike Dam got back into the battle here. Both Violet, Thorman have started to lose a little bit of ground to Randall McGrew. That last time by, McGrew just ran his fastest lap of the race at a 1:23.21. That was almost 3 tenths faster than Violet and almost 4 tenths faster than Thorman.
Yeah, and I think that's because Thorman's pressuring Violet. I think they're just a hair off their pace. Meanwhile, Mike Dam is probably getting pretty antsy behind them. As Bobby Childs around Igor Maximenko to take the lead in that open class.
There we go, and looks like they've got Russ Ruddick sitting 3rd currently in the open class, not all that far back. There he is, about 6 car lengths off of Maximenko, who is now running 2nd in the open class. So again, that swap there moves Bobby Childs back into the lead as he looks for the sweep this evening here at Barber.
And then we've got this battle of John Casey, Mike Taylor. Taylor, if you remember, started the 2nd round here on the pole position, so he's had to do some work here to try and get back up here to try and catch John Casey. Both of these guys running in the open class.
And both of these drivers had some unfortunate spins early on. Again, as you mentioned, Taylor from the lead, Casey a couple of laps after that. Let's take a look now.
This is not going to be good. This is not good, as he manages to avoid damage but does not avoid losing track position. Childs now is going to drop back to 3rd in this open class behind Ruddick and behind now the leader in the open class, Igor Maximenko.
Yeah, and it looked like Maximenko grabbed a lot of curbing there coming through the final corner. Hopefully he was able to hold on to it coming onto the front straight. But you'll notice here, as we have a big change, as Chris Thorman has finally found a way around Eric Violet to now move the number 60 machine of Thorman up to 3rd place overall, move Violet back to 4th. Mike Dam sitting right back behind that number 89 machine, trying to find a way by as well. But for the moment, Chris Thorman has found his way onto the podium in the pro class.
And Thorman's going to now set his sights on Randall McGrew, glad to see this battle waging behind him, that maybe these guys can slow themselves up. And Thorman hoping Mike Dam doesn't get around Violet, but Mike Dam is going to probably be making a move soon. You can see he's right under the tail of that Violet car.
I was just going to say, Larry, as they were coming through the final corner there, and the speed that it looked like Mike Dam had carried out of there, that I didn't think that battle was going to extend for more than 2 or 3 corners. But it looks like, at least for now, Eric Violet in the Violet machine, the number 89 machine, has managed to hold on to the position. But Mike Dam all over the back of that purple car as we go on the nose of our race 1 winner, Mike Dam.
Mike Dam did everything he can to try and get later apexes and earlier on the gas to be able to get longer runs in the straightaways, and maybe by the end of it get up underneath the back of Violet. Not working, because Barber Motorsports Park does not have any really long straights. The front straight is probably the longest, and even the run from 10 all the way to 11 is pretty long, but you're entering it with speed and you're exiting with speed, so you're not really getting that speed differential and an opportunity to close any gaps. So for Mike Dam, he's just going to have to pressure and maybe hope that a little bit of mistake there for Violet at some point, that he could try and make the move, as we know that Thorman's already done. Mike Dam is just underneath the back of there trying to do what he can.
Oh, and we've got it looks like a driver that just went off. Was that Russ Ruddick?
It was, yes.
Yeah, so
Ruddick
it looks like
now. Yeah, he was up into second ahead of Bobby Childs. Now he's found himself a couple second and a half or so behind after that mistake. And here he is trying to pressure Maximenko for the lead in the class. Little bit of maybe a touch of contact. Yes, there is a little bit of contact there between Maximenko and Ruddick.
Yeah, so that now moves, and we'll have to see if the stewards have anything to say about that. And there's the note that incident is under review. So we'll see if Maximenko escapes without having to give up his position or a drive-by penalty there.
We'll see. They're usually pretty good about making sure that anybody at fault does get some sort of penalty, but they also are pretty fair in saying sometimes there are racing incidents, as we had seen one earlier, that they decided to let go. So not everything's a penalty. We'll see what the stewards decide to do. As Maximenko now with Bobby Childs right back on him, and Ruddick didn't go very far. These three separated by a second.
Yeah, he's had a very quick recovery there as that battle is back on as we follow the top three in the open class here, as we have just about 8 minutes remaining here in race number 2 from Barber Motorsports Park on the inaugural inaugural race outing for the new Ricmotech Lamborghini Trophy Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, Apex Racing, and Extreme Scoring.
We have an overall race leader that we've talked very little about since he took that lead on lap 1. Is John Allen just laying down laps, pretty consistency. His best laps at 22.7, his last laps at 22.9, just laying down laps, trying to hit marks and to not make the mistake at this point. As Mike Dam now maybe has an opportunity on Eric Violette, getting that run coming out of, it looks like 5.
Yeah, just cannot get it done as he goes right in behind. And that, I believe, actually, Larry, was coming through the corkscrew over at 7, 8, and 9 here now as they make their way through the S's over at 10 and 11. But that might have been one of the best chances that Mike Dam had. Grabs a lot of curbing there, gets it back as they now go through the tunnel turn over at 13 as they make their way down towards those final corners. 14 up the hill towards 15 and 16. There's the pit entry, and we'll see if Dam can carry a little bit more speed through the final corner through turn 16 onto the front straight, and maybe he can get the pass done here. But as we said, these straightaways not very long here at Barber.
No, they're definitely not. So if you're going to make a move, it's going to have to be one of those compound moves where you push somebody into a bad exit and maybe you have a shot to catch them at the end of the next straightaway. Not an easy task, but Mike Dam, the veteran here, trying to be able to make one of those moves stick.
As time is running down now, 6 minutes remaining here in this 30-minute sprint from Barber Motorsports Park. And just saw for a moment there as Chris Thorman got all over the back of Randall McGrew. So that battle now starting to heat up again, as well as we now have side by side now Ruddick and is that Maximenko, who's now fallen all the way back into third. So Bobby Childs now move him up to the lead in the open class. Again, he was our race 1 winner. Russ Ruddick, who recovered after that little incident a little earlier, and now Igor Maximenko in the yellow number 24 car. He is now sitting on the 3rd step of the podium as we jump back over now to that battle for 2nd overall, with Thorman on the door, on the wing of Randall McGrew as they come onto the front straight. And not quite close enough to get things done there. As you can see, just about car length and a half, 2 car lengths off the back of McGrew with Thorman and Violette. With Violette and Dam about 10 car lengths back from there.
Yeah, and for McGrew, this race can't end soon enough. He's watching that clock at 25 minutes and counting, going, come on, how do I have to do 5.5 more minutes of this? This can't be happening. But Thorman, once he got around Violette, it's just unleashed to try and catch McGrew. And it looks like he was able to do it in enough time to at least make a game out of it. And for Mike Dam, he is still struggling to get past Eric Violette. Eric Violette driving a very wide car tonight. Mike Dam just doing everything he can, just can't seem to get that run. And Violet doing all the right things, getting off the corners accurately to make it down the straightaway to withhold a challenge every single time.
Yeah, and you can see that Mike Dam still experiencing some issues with the curbing here at Barber for as much speed as he carries. Oh, and we have Chris Thorman.
Yeah, we were just talking about him trying to catch up to McGrew, and now he goes and takes himself out. That's going to put him behind the battle of Violet and Dam.
And that will move him back now to 5th, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But you saw all the tire smoke leading into that corner as it looked like Thorman had lost the rear of the car. And here we go. Let's take a look at the replay as the car gets light. He's right up on the edge of the curbing. And let's then take as they come into the left-hander. Yeah, going into turn 12. And the rear end steps out, and he gets the grass, and there's not much he can do to slow the car down and keep it off the guardrail there.
Yeah, he did everything he could. In those types of chicanes, you're trying to just minimize your turning of the wheel. So you want to have a nice wide entry and a nice wide exit and just touch the curbings on both the apexes there through there. Unfortunately, when you get some grass on that entry, you never quite make it to the first apex. The car just wants to slide around. So for him, that's going to cost him some track position, and it's going to cost him some points.
There you go. And so Eric Violet moved him now up into the final podium position with Mike Dam sitting right behind. And, you know, I keep watching there as they come through, Larry, as they come through the corkscrew there, where Mike Dam continues to have issues with the curbing there. That the car just gets very unsettled, and he ends up losing a lot of ground to Violet that he has to then try to make up, and he usually does, but he takes himself out of position to affect the pass almost every single lap at that exact same spot.
He keeps trying, hoping that Violet makes a mistake, and it just hasn't happened yet.
No.
We've seen other mistakes happen. We saw them in the first round for these guys. Well, at least we did for Violet. Mike Dam, we've seen his mistakes here in this race, but he's able to recover.
Well, with 2 minutes remaining here in this 30-minute race, Larry, you were talking about how Randall McGrew could not wait for this race to end and must have been just counting down the clock in his head. He's got a lot of breathing room now, now that Chris Thorman in that number 60 machine had fallen off the
It's a little bit, I wouldn't call it a lot of breathing room. You know, he did dodge one bullet, but he's got two big ones in the chamber behind him there with Eric Violet and Mike Dam coming at him strong. McGrew's last lap at 23.7. Eric Violet, Mike Dam running 23.3, 23.2. So another 4/10 they took out. And here with about a lap and a half to go, McGrew is just hanging on for dear life knowing these two are coming.
Well, that's it. He's got to hold on for just another lap and a half as we jump over to our leader. I think for maybe the third time that we've seen him tonight, John Allen, driver of the number 101 machine. Here starts to make his way around. When he comes onto the front straight, he should be getting the white flag, and there it is. One lap to go here at Barber Motorsports Park. He had that unfortunate incident in race number 1, and here all he's got to do is he's got to make it just another 2.2 miles, 16, now just 15 turns to take his first win in the Lambo Trophy Series. As we jump back over to that battle for third now between Eric Violet and our race 1 winner Mike Dam. And Dam is still not making up any real ground on Violet there. It just seems like the same. Well, he's going to try and well, you can see Violet getting a little defensive.
Very defensive positioning there for Eric Violet, the middle of the track, preventing anything coming on the inside, and also giving himself just enough exit speed coming out of 5 that Mike Dam unable to make the move going into this always treacherous 7-8 complex down these little S's. And for John Allen, smooth sailing in this race. Once he took over that lead early on from Mike Taylor, John Allen just kind of kept pulling away and pulling away, pulling away. And considering he didn't get any practice in before this whole round started, he's able to make use of all the laps he took tonight. And with 2 corners to go, he'll have a chance to secure a victory in heat number 2 of round 1 here at Barber Motorsports Park on the inaugural round of the Lamborghini Trophy Series. John Allen, your race 2 winner.
All right, and after a heartbreak in race number 1, John Allen comes away with the points. As we watch now, our finishing in second will be Randall McGrew. Now, can Mike Dam get around Eric Violet? at the stripe. No, Eric Violet, he is going to hold on to finish third in the number 89 machine. Mike Dam, our race 1 winner, will finish fourth in the open class. Now as we follow just a little bit back, Bobby Childs in the number 88 machine. He is, if he can only make it just a few more corners, going to come away with his second win of the evening in that number 88 car, as he managed to get around both Russ Ruddock and looks like Mike Taylor has gotten around Masimenko. Well, no, looks like Masimenko has held on. Let's take a look here. Masimenko in the number 24 machine, he is going to bring his car home in second. He did manage to get around Russ Ruddock with 2 laps to go. Ruddock is going to finish third in the open class in that green number 95 machine.
Very exciting second race tonight. Great to see some changes up there in the way this format worked out. Some opportunities for those that had suffered in the first round to get some good finish in the second round, and I think it really played out to some great racing, and I can't wait to talk to some of these drivers.
And Larry, you're going to have to hold on for just a few seconds because we're going to take another quick commercial break, and when we return, we will talk to our winners here in the feature race, race number 2 from Barber Motorsports Park. You have been watching the Lambo Trophy Series, the initial round of the Lambo Trophy Series, sponsored by Performance Texas Elite Graphics, Apex Racing Academy, and Extreme Scoring, right here on Apex Racing TV, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
All right, and we're back here at Barber Motorsports Park with round 1, the first outing of the Lambo Trophy Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics, Apex Racing Academy, and Extreme Scoring. I'm Greg Ginsberg along with Larry McLeod. Sitting there right on the screen, you've got our feature results from our second race. John Allen taking the win in the Pro Class. Randall McGrew finishing second. Eric Violet taking the last spot in the Pro Class podium. And in Open Class with his second win of the evening, Bobby Childs. Igor Maximenko, after some heartbreak in race number 1, he takes second spot in the Open Class. And then Russ Ruddock, who finished second in race 1. He's got another podium. He finishes third in the feature race for Flying Tortoise Motorsports. So we're going to start bringing in our podium finishers with the interviews here in just a moment. But Larry, I've just gotten not just a quick note, but some information on a great prize.
This is good news.
Yeah, this is really good news that we're going to be essentially raffling off to one of our drivers. This drawing is going to be held at the very last outing from Imola, all the way in December. So these drivers are going to have to think about it. But it is a gift certificate for 5 hot laps in a Lamborghini Gallardo at the Exotics Racing facility at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That's got a almost a $299 gift certificate that covers driving and safety classroom instruction, the 2 discovery laps with a pro racing driver in a Porsche SUV, the 5 laps in that Lamborghini Gallardo, and it is going to be a great time
Very
for
cool
whoever
prize.
wins that.
Yep, that'll be an awesome
Yeah.
prize to be given away. So, if you're in the series, if you're watching the series, you go, hey, I'd like that prize. Get signed up for this series and have an opportunity to do it. We'll talk more about it as the weeks go on, but it's pretty exciting to have that carrot out there for somebody in this series.
Absolutely. All right. So, let's start off with the interviews. And Larry, since we didn't get to talk to him after his win in race 1, let's bring in Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 Orion Racing Machine. He finished with the win in race 1 and had that great battle with Eric Violet here in race number 2.
All right, so we've got Mike Dam, who had won our first heat race tonight and had some pretty exciting battles in the second race. So, Mike, let's start off with that first race win. You kind of pulled away from the field. You seem to be pretty comfortable out there.
Yeah, I just took advantage of the open track in front of me, and I was able to just run a clean race. Chris Thorman was right on my tail the whole time, so I couldn't take it easy at all. So that was it was a good first race for sure.
Yeah, and the second race was as the grid inverted. You started out 10th, and suddenly you had a lot of action in front of you. You had your own moment there. You were able to get back into that. You looked like you were throwing everything at Eric Violet and just not the opportunities. This is a tough place to pass, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed. It was looking like it was going to be really tough. Fortunately, a few drivers had off track, so that was sort of a free pass by them. But yeah, definitely the second half of this second heat was really tough. These guys they're fast. They're within that threshold that you gotta make a really good move or really have some sort of advantage to get by them. So it was really tight there.
Yeah, but for you, a solid night tonight. You get the win in the opening heat. You get the 4th place finish the second round. It's going to be a pretty good solid points for you as we get into the season. Is there a track you're looking forward to as this season rolls out with this car?
I'm going to say Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
That home track.
That's my home track. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, I'm excited for that one as well. That'll be a couple rounds away, but I think we're going to have a pretty good season. So congratulations on that opening race win tonight, and looking forward to see you next time out.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, there you go. That is Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 Orion Racing Machine. Took the win tonight in race number 1, finished just off the podium in race number 2. And now, Larry, let's jump over to our feature race winner, both overall and in the pro class, the driver of the number 101 machine, John Allen.
We've got John Allen in here. And John, it sounds like you signed up for this thing about an hour and a half ago. And first race might have been your practice laps, but walk me through that first race and how that was going. Maybe not to your plan.
Well, we had a little kerfuffle in qualifying where the fuel wasn't what it was intended. So, two laps in qualifying kind of had to be the everything. And my first one somehow didn't include an off-track penalty, just because when I went forward off, it was slow enough in museum that lap posted. But I managed to put something better down on the second attempt, and then I just had to practice pit entry, I thought, until I realized these are sprint races. So, I'm usually running stuff where pits come into play. So, the first one was just getting acclimated and, without clean air, not trying to punt anybody, following Travis there for a bit. Eventually made a mistake that took some body work off, but kept it drivable and just tried to bring it home. And then, lucky me, the format after a late error put me on the front row. So, it's not bad to be outside front row at Barber. And so that worked out to start the second race. And with clean air, then yes, I got to learn a lot more about the car than I did in the 2 qualifying laps, and started to find some pace. So looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, we know that you've got experience in the Lamborghini, having driven it in the GT3 series and our World Challenge rounds earlier in the last season, but not your setup tonight, right? It's kind of a setup that they hand you. How different does that feel from maybe the setup you would normally have in this car?
Quite different. I mean, it's been a while since I ran those 2 or 3 rounds, whatever it was in the GT series at the start of last season, but it definitely, I glanced at it really after the race because, to your point, I wasn't here long enough beforehand to look at the setup and digest it, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway because I couldn't change it. So I just drove the car. But I'm looking at it now, and yeah, it's not maybe how I would set up a car, but given the it is very drivable. It's just maybe not as fast as I could be with it with more practice, but I'm happy to learn on the fly.
Yeah, looking forward to see you get some of that practice and get through some of these rounds as the season progresses. So, congratulations on that the win in the second heat tonight, and looking forward to seeing you next time out.
Great, sounds great. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, John.
All right, there you go. That was John Allen, our winner in the feature race tonight here at Barber Motorsports Park. And now, Larry, let's move over finally to Mr. Childs, driver of the number 88 D2D e-racing machine, took the double wins, both the first race as well as race number 2 here from Barber.
All right, we've got our open class winner of both heats tonight, Bobby Childs. And I know, Bobby, you don't like to talk much on these interviews, but tell me a little bit about how that race went for you.
Well, man, oh man. Race 2 was just nonstop work we had a little bit of a wonky start, so I already was like way behind Russ Ruddock. I had 3 pro drivers in between me and him. I didn't know what was going to happen there, if I was going to be able to catch him, because this is such a hard track to pass on. But things just kind of worked out. I was finally able to get caught up with him and found a way to get by him using a pro driver as a pick there. And then there was a little bit of contact, I think, with him in another car. And so I was able to get out there. And then, man, I just caught some of that, nice Alabama grass out there and, spun myself out. And that was after contact with Travis Schwenke, which, I know Travis, wasn't, trying to do anything crazy there. He went for the Lewis Hamilton gap, as it were, that wasn't really there. And, those things happen. And, man, fighting back to the lead of the open division, 2-3 times was just, oh my gosh, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, quite the battles there with Russ, and then with Igor. Then in that second race, is Maximenko seemed to be a pretty strong competitor here in this open class. Coming into the
faster and faster as the race went on. I do want to send a big shout out to him and Russ. Igor did a great job tonight, especially. His pace kept getting better and better. During practice, he thought he was going to be completely just done and in the back, and man, his pace just picked up all through the race. So big shouts out to Igor.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty exciting season here among the open class. Got some drivers that are just coming in, some new blood. It's always fun to see. And, some of the old veterans like yourself sticking around. And kind of I didn't call you old, but showing some of the young blood a little bit. You need some of that experience in this Ricmotech series to be able to do well. And your experience paid off tonight with victories in both Heat 1 and Heat 2 in the open class. So congrats on that. Who would you like to thank tonight?
I want to thank Apex Racing Academy. They provided a really, really good setup both for this race and our fun run at Lime Rock. So we're really excited to continue working with them on the series. I want to send a huge shout out to our team sponsor, Chris Thorman. He had amazing pace tonight. He really hung up with the pros there. So he's really improving there. And to Stubby in the chat, he's a Jardiere community member. He likes to come in and watch all the Ricmotech series as well. And so I want to send a big shout out to Stubby for holding it down for the Ricmotech series.
Absolutely. Stubby, how you doing tonight? Hope you're enjoying the show. As every week, it seems to get more and more exciting. So, Bobby, a couple of great wins for you tonight. Looking forward to see some more of that success this season and in the next round here in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. That was Bobby Childs, driver of the number 88 D2D e-racing machine, winner both in race 1 and race 2, taking one heck of a points haul there this evening, Larry. And Larry, it has been an extraordinary open and first night ever for the Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series tonight. I'm sure you agree.
Oh, absolutely. I think seeing the basically spec cars out here of this format, big, high horsepower, mid-engine V10s just screaming around this place. What really a challenge, these drivers, and a very challenging track, showing us that the veterans able to come out, people like Mike Dam and John Allen and Bobby Childs, veterans of the series, able to take advantage of that experience here in the opening round. But it's a long season, and some of this new blood coming in, it's got me excited. Might see some faces coming through into victory circle here as the season progresses.
Yeah, Larry, and it should get you excited. And if you at home were excited watching it, remember, there is still time. You can sign up and join these drivers in the Lambo Trophy Series. All you need to do is go to extrememotorsports99.com and jump over to the Road Racing Series. If you jump over to the Lambo Trophy Series, there's going to be a nice big button there to send in an application, and all you need to do, send it in by August 22nd. That is the day before round 2 at Watkins Glen. And speaking of round 2 at Watkins Glen, Larry, why don't we go and we'll run down the events that we have coming up in our different Ricmotech series. Starting next week, August 2nd, next Monday night, the Classic Sprint Series. Those are our MX-5 drivers and cars. They're going to be heading across the pond to Brands Hatch. Actually, a lot of our Classic Sprint Series events are going to be held in the old country, in both Europe and well, UK is part of Europe. So they're going to be at Brands Hatch, and much like tonight, going to be running 2 30-minute sprint races. Then in 2 weeks, August 9th, it's going to be the initial round of the next season of the Ricmotech World Challenge. They are going to be starting things off for the second year in a row at Daytona International Speedway. Those are our LMP2 and GT3 drivers. And then in 3 weeks, August 23rd, round number 2 for the Lambo Trophy Series at Watkins Glen International, and you definitely are not going to want to miss it. And so remember, if you liked what you saw, please go and give us a thumbs up. Go and click on that subscribe button for Apex Racing TV, and click the notification bell so you can find out about all the events Apex Racing has. And you can, of course, subscribe to all of our social media channels, both Instagram, Facebook, as well as, well, no, not TikTok. It's going to be Twitter. And all you need to do is search for one word, Apex Racing TV. So for Larry McLeod, I'm Greg Ginsberg, and we'll see you next week for the Classic Sprint Series.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.